I recently got a phone call that no homeowner ever wants to get. Sir, there's a gas leak on your property. And within an hour, they had an excavator digging up the side of my yard. The problem is, when they left, I was stuck with this. Deep ruts, torn up soil, and a lawn that was basically ruined right before summer heat kicks in. In this video, I'm walking you through exactly how I'm going to fix this step by step, leveling the damage, rebuilding the soil, and getting new grass seed established fast before hot weather makes it a lot harder to grow. Hey guys and gals, welcome to Garage Gear. I'm JB. Here's what went down. The gas company was doing their usual meter check, and their devices picked up a gas leak. I was at work, and my neighbors called me, and they said, "You better get home. They're digging up your lawn." I rushed home, and the excavator was already at work digging a 4-foot deep hole on the side of my house, leaving a nice pair of ruts down the side of my lawn. They found the leak, the pipe going down from the gas meter, which was about 40 years old, over time had rotted away, and they replaced it with a plastic one. And they actually put everything back to about 90% of the way it was. Not bad. And to help this video do better than 90%, would you mind hitting that like button? Thank you very much. But now I'm left with this, right before summer heat hits. I have a roughed up lawn, ruts ranging anywhere from 1 inch deep to about 5 inches deep, and they were deep enough to trip on if you were walking through. Great. As soon as they left, I was off to Home Depot to gather some supplies. Here's what I bought. I picked up 15 bags of topsoil. Then I picked up some humus and manure, and this adds some organic matter to the soil and helps really stimulate some growth. And lucky for me, I had a bag of Jonathan Green Black Beauty Ultra on standby. I bought it months ago, and it's just been sitting in the corner of the garage in case I needed to patch some areas, and boom, was I ever ready. And then to cover all that seed, I picked up some peat moss. And then I picked up something no landscaper should be without, a landscape rake. This guy is 36 inches wide, and this helped to spread everything nice and even. Now, the very first thing that I did is I mowed the lawn down as comfortably low as I could possibly take it, which for me was about 2 inches. I know I'm not gonna be mowing for the next couple weeks, so it's good to get it down as low as I possibly could. From there, I began by taking my Brindley lawn roller and leveling everything out. The roller did a pretty good job leveling out any hard angles that were caused by the tracks from the excavator. I went in multiple directions with it and just flattened everything down like a pancake. And even after all that, there were still some ruts that needed to be leveled out. From there, I grabbed all my bags of topsoil and I laid them out. From there, I ripped all the bags open, dumped it out as best I could, just kind of dumped it where I wanted it. And then from there, grabbed the leveling rake with the flat side and just pulled the soil down the lawn. And what was great is it just kind of leveled everything out nice and smooth. It was almost satisfying to watch it happen. Now, in my experience, on a cool season lawn, these are super handy to have if you have to do any leveling of any kind. They do a really good job just laying out the material nice and smooth in our cool season turf. Now, I've tried using more expensive leveling rakes in the past, and their design kind of gets hung up in the lawn. This just does a nice, simple job pushing and pulling the turf to level it nice and smooth. I went up and down the tracks, pushed and pulled it. It moved real easy, and I got the leveling part done in record time. I'll have one of these linked below in the description. By the way, check out this garden edge. The garage gal did a fantastic job on this, and she got it all back to normal while I was busy leveling everything out. And once I was done leveling out all that soil, I grabbed my bags of humus and manure and dumped that all along the top. Again, this is gonna add a huge amount of organic matter to that soil and give it a nice nutrient boost. And from what I'm seeing here on the bag, we're actually gonna get a little shot of nitrogen at 12%, a shot of phosphorus at 6%, and a shot of potassium at 9%. Plus, it's got some slow release nitrogen that will release itself over time. So without using any fertilizer, so to speak, this humus and manure is gonna kickstart the lawn. And I'm pretty sure this was only like $4 for each bag. From there, I mixed that all in and then leveled it again with the leveling rake. Next up, it was time to put down some seed. And I decided to go with my good old friend, Jonathan Green Black Beauty Ultra. And by the way, this video is not sponsored. I picked up all these supplies with my own money. Now, I've been using Jonathan Green Black Beauty Ultra grass seed for the better part of the past decade. And what I like about this seed is, number one, it just comes up. And number two, there's no extra fillers or coatings. You're getting straight seed in this bag. And what's cool about this grass seed is that when it sprouts its leaves, The leaves actually have a waxy coating to help prevent disease. And the roots have been tested to grow about 4 feet down. So from time to time, when I go through these little droughts in maybe the middle of the summer, or as of right now, because it's not raining at all, this seed will actually dig way down to find water. Pretty cool. And when I had my pool installed several years ago, I put nothing but Black Beauty Ultra down, and that is now the thickest part of my lawn. That says something. Good for sun and shade, and usually I see this seed start to pop in about 5 days. Now let's get a closer look at what's actually in the bag. So you can see here that we have approximately 30% Future Tall Fescue, approximately another 30% Thunderbolt Tall Fescue, about almost 20% Toltec Tall Fescue. That's a lot of tall fescue in this bag. And then we have almost 10% Frontier Perennial Ryegrass, and that's usually going to germinate first. And then we have almost another 10% Pivot Kentucky Bluegrass. That usually takes the longest for that seed to pop. There is a little bit of inert matter, and that's just gonna be seed shells and casings, things like that. And there is just a little bit of weed seeds at 0.03. Overall, I'm a big fan of this seed. It's reliable, it comes up, and it's thick and dense. Now I threw the seed down all along those track trails by hand, and not a single inch of soil was missed. From there, I took a normal lawn rake and just kind of eased that seed into the soil, just gently tossing it around. This helps create great seed to soil contact. And then from there, I rolled it all again to press it on in. There's no way this seed wasn't making good contact with the soil. Now from there, it was all about peat moss. Peat moss is an excellent seed covering. I usually lay it down thin at about 1/4 of an inch, just covering the surface of the seed. And the cool thing about it is that when it's dry, it's brown. But when it's wet, it almost turns a dark black color. So you know when it's wet. It's kind of nature's way of telling you, hey, you either gotta water or not. Now many say that it's great for covering the seed so birds don't get at it. I personally have never seen that become a problem on my lawn, ever. I get lots of birds in my lawn, but never chomping on new seed. I don't know. Maybe it's a myth we gotta prove. I'm sure they like it, but I don't seem to have that problem. And I ended up using about 1.5 bags to cover both of those tracks. The only thing that really grinds my gears with peat moss is it makes a dusty mess. You're gonna have it everywhere, in your shoes, all over your legs, around your arms. It's disgusting, but it does an excellent job. Do these look like the Back to the Future flame tracks? Now I did all of this in 2 hours. Beat that, garage geezer. From there, once I was finished, I grabbed the hose, started soaking everything, and now we play the waiting game. Here we are, guys and gals, on day 5, and we have germination. The seed is sprouting. We got little fuzz coming up here. It's looking great so far. I've been watering every day, 3 times a day, morning, midday, and then in the evening before bed. And that's doing it. That's helping keep all this nice and soft for all that seed to push right through. Let's get a look down here. This area seems to get the most sun. This area is always in the sun. And this one, even though it dries out the quickest, it definitely has some little sprouts popping all around. Over here, the excavator came up on this path and then backed out on this path. So beyond up there, right where they were doing the majority of the digging, this is probably one of the most damaged areas. As we get down low, yep, lots of little guys starting to pop. Great to see. Then as we look at these trails here, I'm seeing a lot of the seeds starting to sprout mainly through the middle. Some stuff on the ends, and pretty much it looks the same on both sides going all the way up. Now this up here is where they actually did the most damage to the lawn. The excavator was just thumping right here as they were digging right here. So it was constantly pushing and pushing and pushing the turf down. We had about a good, I'd say 4 to 6 inch hole right here to fill. Same thing on that side. Down here, this was maybe only pressed down about 1 inch, not too bad. So then over here, this is where they moved all of the excess dirt from here and dropped it here. And it basically ruined this whole section. So I filled this all in. This is nice and smooth, nice and level now. And let's see, do we have any germination going on? Couple little tiny sprouts right here, not much, couple there. This area is pretty slow, and mainly because it doesn't see as much sun. Early in the day, it gets a lot of sun right here, maybe midday as the sun's passing right over, and then this area is basically shadowed by these trees, and then the house, so we're kind of caught in the shade. But it'll come up, it always does. I'm not worried. It hasn't rained here all week, so basically what we gotta do is create an environment where it's constantly wet, so that way the seed basically thinks that it's ready and time to go. You can even see down at the soil level down here, this is pretty soft. But if I go just a few feet over, it's starting to dry out down here. This is pretty hard as a rock now. And what we're starting to see here, this is more than likely the perennial ryegrass coming through. Perennial ryegrass typically sprouts in about 5 days. You start seeing some early germination. And then we'll probably see the turf-type tall fescue and the Kentucky bluegrass start to pop later at about the 10 to 20 day mark. So now just because we have germination, that doesn't mean the watering stops. We only have the perennial ryegrass coming up at this point. We got to get the other stuff, the turf-type tall fescue, the Kentucky blue to come up, and that takes longer. So we got to continue this watering process for the better part of 2/3 of a month. We're going to keep at it, even though it's not raining, temperatures are on the rise, we're going to keep watering 2 to 3 times a day. And that's the key. Keep it wet, and you can bet that grass seed's coming up. Now, this is the part of the game where I like to give things a little power boost. I have some leftover starter fertilizer from last fall. This is some Scott's starter fertilizer. This is loaded with phosphorus, and it's gonna help drive down some roots. Now, this is the perfect time to put this down because now we have those roots being established. If I were to put this down right away before the seed even germinated, the other existing turf would use up this starter fertilizer, and I don't want that. I want the new stuff to get its paws at it. So we're gonna start spreading this now. Now that we're 5 days in, I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit, a light amount. Normally I would throw this down with a spreader, but because I'm only doing these 2 tight trails, I don't wanna put starter fertilizer all over my lawn. It doesn't need it. I'm just gonna sprinkle it by hand. Just real light, that will do. You get some starter fertilizer, and you get some starter fertilizer, and you get some starter fertilizer. It's real thin, doesn't need to be crazy. We're not using a lot. This is basically like a protein shake for the new grass. That's pretty good. Nice and light. It's all the coverage we need. A little phosphorus protein shake. And as I keep up with my watering routine here, this will all just get washed right in. Now here's my watering schedule. For the last 10 days, I have watered 3 times a day. I watered first thing in the morning, right when I woke up, right around 5:30 a.m. Then, as soon as I got home from work, which was right around 4 p.m., and then again at right around 8:30 in the evening. And typically when I have a lawn project, I stick to this for the first 10 days. After those 10 days, I typically go down to about twice a day, morning and then at night. And when the temps are on the rise, this is absolutely key. This helps keep the soil nice and soft, so that way those little tiny baby roots that come out of those grass seeds can easily start to push their way down. We're basically giving the seed no reason not to come up. Keep it wet, keep it soft, that way the grass can just grow. Now with all that watering, here's what not to do. First, do not soak it so much that the water is just puddling up. Just get it wet, turn the peat moss black, and just move on. If you flood it, seed will kind of start to wash away. Now if it rains, that will be enough. That's nature's way of telling me to take a break. You also don't want to have the sprayer on jet mode. I like to put it on a nice shower mode so that way it doesn't move any seed around. And also as I'm watering, I like to be very careful not to step in any of the areas that I'm trying to grow. You don't want to squash any seed that might have just started germination and kill it at the start. Try to avoid any foot traction as best you can. Mowing. What's my plan? In terms of this area of my lawn, I'm avoiding it at all costs for about the next 2 mows. Once I get to that 3rd mow, that's when I'm probably gonna start going over it. And at that point, I'm gonna use a lightweight mower. And this is one of those get in and get out kind of moments. I don't want the wheels pressing in and rutting things up. So I'm just gonna get in and get off and get out of there. But you should just fix that all in the fall. Well, it's June. I don't wanna be staring at ruts for the next 3 months. And I definitely don't wanna be tripping in them either. I'm fixing that mess now. I don't wanna look at that. But your pre-emergence won't let the grass come up. You know, that could be the case, but it's a risk I'm willing to take. A pre-emergent creates a barrier at the soil surface, preventing any weeds from coming up, especially crabgrass. And it can harm new seedlings. I put that pre-emergent down about 6 weeks ago. Depending on timing, this can stunt new grass growth, but I'm pretty sure in my experience, we're at a window now where we can just let it rip. And I put that seed down and it's coming up. So I would say we're good to go. Now here's what the lawn looked like before, and here is the after. She's looking good now, and she's made a lot of progress in the last 10 days. Take a look at that. This is 10 days later. We have some excellent growth going on here. And look at that. It's really starting to fill in. I mean, look at that. That is coming up great now. All that hard work, all the early morning waterings, it's all paying off. Everything's just starting to fill right in, and this will be up right in time for summer. All right, here we are 2 weeks later. Let's get a closer look at the results. Right off the bat, look at this. That Jonathan Green Black Beauty Ultra comes up nice and dark. This is definitely darker than I anticipated. Normally when I do this, I see these spots that I fill in usually come in lighter. Total opposite with Jonathan Green. Definitely darker. Looks like I'll definitely have to do a heavy reseeding in this area, especially come the fall. All right, let's get down in here. This is probably the thickest spot. Check this out. This is 2 weeks and we're, I would say, about 2.5, maybe 3 inches high. That's pretty impressive. Just check out how thick this is. I can't even pull this out. Got a few little bare spots to tend with. I may fill these in. I'm gonna wait just a couple more days and see if anything sprouts in them. A little thin in here, still coming up. We got a random tree sprouting right here. Take a look at that. I'm gonna let it rip. Again, still continuing with that watering cycle, still keeping it wet. And finally, it looks like the next 2-3 days, we got some rain coming. Thank God. Now, just in case you were wondering about the weed seed percentage in the bag of Jonathan Green, which was 0.03, take a look at this. This is the only weed that I got growing here. I'm gonna rip this guy out of this whole entire area that I filled in. That's it. One weed right there. I think I can handle that. Over here, this area filled in beautifully. Check this out. There's hardly any bare spots going on in here. It's nice and thick and dark. Look at that. Let's get a look down here. Not too bad, just a couple little spots to kind of keep an eye on. All in all, in really good shape down here. Super thick. And you can see it's just pushing all the peat moss up. Look at that, just pushing it right up. It's almost like it's trying to get it out of the way. I haven't cut any of this. I've just let it grow for the last 2 weeks. I'm gonna keep doing my watering. We're gonna bring the rain. Bring the rain! And this baby is filling right in. And I'll tell you what, in terms of watering convenience, it doesn't get any more convenient than that. My hose is right there, directly next to the problem area. That's pretty convenient. Now, what grinds my gears about this entire process is I was off for 4 days prior to this event happening. And the morning after, when I went back to work, that's when I got the call. The joys of home ownership, right? But on the good side here, my wife and I and the house are safe. They checked everything when they were done, inside and out, and we're all good to go. And the gas company did a really good job getting things back to the way they were. I do give them a lot of credit. They were very respectful not to just drive up the front of my lawn. Quick little side note, this is a Memorial Day project that came late. And there's something that you need to know about the garage geezer, my dad, and his passion for Memorial Day projects. Basically from middle school on, as I was growing up, I was basically forced into many Memorial Day projects out in the lawn. I would look forward to Memorial Day as a time to get away from school and maybe hang out with some friends and maybe go to Darien Lake. For those of you that are from the Buffalo area, you know what I'm talking about. But the garage geezer always woke me up that Saturday morning super early and said, get up, we're taking care of the lawn. And this wasn't just a mow and go. This was a massive project. Every single Memorial Day, it was digging a trench 3 feet down to put in a drain tile all the way across the backyard. Then the next year, it was ripping out all the bushes. And then the next year, it was ripping out the back patio to put in a brick patio. So if you were around my house as I was growing up, you always saw a wild project happening on Memorial Day, every single year. And the garage geezer's always got something going on at his house every single Memorial Day.
Hey, do you want to do a Memorial Day project?
And those 4 days this year were pretty relaxing. Not too much going on. But then, the day I had to go back to work and got that phone call, yeah, that Memorial Day project came late. And lo and behold, guess who showed up maybe an hour after the whole thing went down? That's right, the garage geezer. Laughing his butt off, telling me, hey, looks like you got your Memorial Day project after all. I'll tell you what though, it's because of all those projects that he had me do as a kid that I now know what to do out in the lawn. So if you're gonna like this video for any reason, like it for the garage geezer, because without him, I wouldn't be able to share all this experience with all of you. And if you'd like to see how to rejuvenate a lawn with compost and a Landsea spreader, I'll have that video linked down below in the description. If you want to be part of the tribe, subscribe, and for more cool garage gear content, click or tap the screen right here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the garage.